Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sheikh Muhammad Ali, and as you all know, that I'm settled here in Islamabad for the last almost 18 years. I've been teaching practically all my life, and lately I was working with the Higher Education Commission for some 15 years, and I've always been a teacher, a trainer, and while I was working, I decided to one of my friends, colleagues at work, he asked me to teach and here in the universities, so which I had not done before. But in 2009, I thought that I should start teaching. And initially, I taught subjects like journal management, project management, and human resource management, basic management courses. Then I realized that there were few instructors in the market already who were handling these courses. So I wanted to carve out my niche a little different, and so I started working on subjects like anger management, conflict management, change management, international human resource management, subjects which were not being taught in the market in the local universities. And change is a subject which is very close to the heart. So I've delivered lectures off and on change through my different presentations. And what I plan to do today, now that we are sitting fancy free at home these days, while being quarantined at home, so I thought maybe I should share this presentation, this knowledge, this information with you on the subject called managing people through change. So without wasting much time, so let's just go and see what this subject is all about, and maybe I'll put it on my YouTube channel also. So I'll just walk you through this presentation of managing people through change. So what is the agenda for today? We need to manage change. So is it just a program? Will it be done through a manager, an individual? What will be the critical success factors? What are the successful change projects, if there are any? And what are the areas that we need to look into? So managing change is, there's a change event, and there are certain driving forces, there's certain restraining forces. We need to look into those, and nobody likes change. So people go through, whenever we want in an organization to bring about a change, people go through a crest and a trough. Yeah. So today, without the change, we will look into how is the organization working, and what would be the new world order after we go around bringing this change in the organization. So how are we going to manage a change program? There's about 7 to 8 points that we look into. Number one, what are the drivers for change? What is the strategy? How will we communicate to our people, to our staff? Are there going to be any rewards and recognition? Do we need to train our people? Are we going to measure and report? Do we have to do some kind of organizational realignment when we talk about this change? What kind of support we are going to need? And finally, how we will anchor this change when we bring about this change in the organization. So what will be the drivers for change? There are going to be customer expectations, technology which we are going to use. How will our competition be when we will bring about this change? What is the legislation that we need to look into? Of course, we have to look at the economy as well. So where are we now? And after this change, where we are going to be? Now, the next topic is strategies for change. Is there an urgency, a pressure on us to bring about this change? How will the people in the organization handle this change? Organizational climate, how will it be? What is the culture of the organization? Are people receptive to change? What will be our management style? The four matrix that we are going to follow is tell, sell, consult, and collaborate. So how we are going to use this matrix for a strategy to change. Now let's look at the focus of our change. What technology we are going to use. How will we handle performance management? How are we going to gauge people's performance? Do we need to imbibe or inculcate new skills into the people? Make them go through some kind of skill development program? How will we realign our organization with this change? What will be our new customers, products, services, how this change would impact all this. The next aspect is communications. Help people make the link between the strategic direction and the expected changes. We can't just bring about this change and shove it down the throats of our people. So we need to communicate with them. We need to take time to communicate. Are we going to assert it on the individuals, or are we going to involve them in this change? We need to understand the audience first, the internal customers, that is the people who are working for us. Definitely they're going to ask, what's in it for me? Who will I listen to? And what are the messages that we need to give them? So the quick answer is communicate, listen. Communicate, listen, and communicate, listen. Now let's talk about training. What kind of training we're going to impart to our people when we plan to bring about this change? Knowledge. What do I need to know as the change agent, as the instructor for change, and what do people need to know in my organization? What are the skill sets? What do I need to do? What do I need to teach them? Attitude. How do I feel? How would people feel about this change? We need to analyze, design, develop, test, and then deliver. So we're going to link with this change with their performance competencies. First, we're going to talk them into this change. We're going to tell them as to how we are going to bring about the change. Then once they understand, have a grip, then we link it with their performance competencies. And we need to give them ongoing training. We can't just bring about the change and shove it down their throats and not talk about it. So constantly we need to train and uplift our people. Now let's look at some rewards and recognition mechanism. We're going to reward the leaders, the enthusiasts, the early birds, the early adopters to this change, and people would copy. The ones who are fast learners, they would adopt to the change faster than the slow people. So we need to take them along. So we need to reward the fast learners first so that people could emulate them, copy them, and don't feel left behind. We need to acknowledge new behaviors. We need to recognize the early winners. We need to motivate our people through the peaks and the valleys of change. Also, we need to develop war stories and success stories. Now, how are we going to measure and report this change? So we need to identify measures of success, align the business team and individual and design and develop individual measurement systems. We also need to focus on management reporting. and ultimately review their performance measures also as to how receptive to the change these people are. So we need to measure that. As far as the organizational alignment is concerned, we need to see that does the organization model support the change that is required? Is it too slow? Is it too fast? Or is it just normal? We need to identify the organizational issues. We need to see the review processes, the review of information which flows from top to bottom and vice versa. We need to review the roles and responsibilities of the people, the officers, the management, administration. What kind of support would people need? We need to identify that too. Not everybody would be a fast learner. So before the change, we need to identify and manage the issues that may crop up. And issues will crop up, I tell you. And during the change, we need to do hand-holding of our people. After the change, we need to have a help desk in place whereby we need to develop the manuals, the standard operating procedures. So we need to write all this down so that people could go back and see if they deviate from the path from where we intend them to go, where we want them to go. Now, once we bring about the change and the change we are done and over with, we need to anchor this change. And how are we going to do that? Let's look at those aspects. What are the key measures, the benefits, results? We need to study, are there any benefits of the change that we've brought in the organization? What is the usage, participation? How many people participated in this change? We need to sort of give them a pat on the back. Management reporting, for that we need senior management participation. If seniors are not involved, people would feel that this change is just being thrusted on us. So the involvement of senior management is very important. Who are the frontline managers? How much are they exposed to this change? And also we need to study their performance management, evaluate, analyze. What are their competencies? We need to define and maybe redefine the job descriptions. And we need to come up with some reward and recognition procedures. So in order to manage a team, what we are going to do, we need to make small teams in different departments so that we can do this change management. What we need to remember here, first, change is inevitable. Nobody likes change. Many people are not receptive to change. We have to keep that in mind. So for that, we need to take the team along with us and we need to communicate. So we need to define as to what the key messages are. We need to beware of mixed messages and we need to see each opportunity of communication with the seniors, with the juniors. We need to, of course, identify and eliminate obstacles. We need to understand objections if there are any. Mind you, there will be objections. And we need to understand performance expectations, what we expect out of people, what they are expecting from us after this change. We don't need to let comments slide. When people make comments in such meetings, when we are discussing the change, we need to make notes and we need to go deep down inside our minds, our hearts, and take them along. We need to take action on these points. Also, we need to, the change agent, we need to demonstrate our commitment. If I am the change agent, I need to be fully sold to the idea of this change. I need to be visible and unwavering. I should always be available for people to help them, guide them through this change process. So how am I going to move through this change? We need to be aware of the need to change. There would be worries, there would be uncertainties, there would be doubt, there would be cynicism. So we have to take all the people along with all their naiveties, simplicities, the questions, the queries. We need to participate in the change. Yeah, there would be enthusiasts, there would be supporters, there would be blockers, there would be ignorers. We need to have knowledge of how to change the participator, the influencer, the skeptic. We need to be able to implement the change. There would be skilled people, there would be knowledgeable people, there would be people who would support us, there would be people who will not support us. We all need to identify them, work on them in small groups, have focus group discussions. And then ultimately, the transitioning to the new world, transitioning to the new changed organization in which it would be embedded, and change needs to be transparent. We need to put it in writing, like the way we do things around here. So just like ISO, we need to put everything in writing. What will be our critical success factors? We need to understand, is there a need or urgency for this change? Do we have a vision when we are bringing about this change? Of course, needless to mention that we need to have executive support. Otherwise, people would go helter-skelter. We need to communicate with them. We need to have systematic planning. We need to have short-term wins and long-term goals. And we need to discuss all this with our people. What would be the successful change projects within the organization? Like internal focus to customer focus. We need to have strong executive support. We need to have vision and plans that need to be communicated upstream, downstream, within the organization, to the customers. We need to have enthusiasm and management support. The other aspect is employee responsibility and accountability. So we need to have sense of urgency. There should be a committed sponsor. Top management should be sponsoring this change. They should be committed. We need to have a strong consultative environment. If anything goes wrong, we need to hit the drawing board, sit together in our teams, and come up with solutions to the problems which may crop up during this process. So in conclusion, I would sort of revamp. It is never easy. Don't think that the change would be just like that. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be an uphill task. We need to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. While keeping the bigger picture in mind, we need to be persistent. We need to have focus. We need to have stamina, because change may be inevitable, but it ain't coming overnight. So we have to have stamina. So I hope you like this small presentation on change. And if there are any questions, please write to me. My email address is dushka, D-U-S-H-K-A, Sheikh, S-H-A-I-K-H, @gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And what I'll do is that I'll make a presentation out of my presentation and put that on YouTube also, so that whatever that I have said in the presentation, you can see that in writing. So happy learning. Thank you so much for joining. Please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and so that you can learn while you are at home these days. And I thought that this is a good time to share knowledge, to share information with my audience. And I hope you like this short, small, crisp presentation on change management. This is Sheikh Muhammad Ali. I'm signing off for the evening. good night. Allah Hafiz, and you take very good care of yourself. Bye bye.